All right, hello again. Back for another round here tonight. So this is Rebecca, your favorite interior designer with Revision Custom Home Design, and continuing a little bit of what I was working on earlier this afternoon, doing some work in Photoshop to essentially finish or touch up images that were created in Chief Architect, which is the drafting program. So these are images. I'm working in partnership with a local builder. And so I'm putting together some marketing images for him and I to both share on social media uh, in relation to some of the houses that we've done together and inspiring people maybe for some future ones. So what I'm doing here is I've already created this image in Chief Architect and did a screen grab, saved it. So I've got this image here. I don't really, well, maybe I will crop a little bit. So anyway, I'm basically going back in and just adding a little bit of detail so it looks more finished and more exciting for social media. I make this just a smidgen bigger. I don't want to crop too much out, but I also don't like that border that was on it. I'm going to do that. And then, like I said, because I don't want to actually crop anything out, I'm actually going to just crop this image to a slightly different size. Don't need all that extra headroom there. There we go. Okay, so I've cropped out the parts of the image that I don't want. And now I'm just going to go back in and add in a few details that kind of make it a finished look. So I've already gone over to Google and done an image search for some of the things that I want. But for example, one of the things would be clothes hanging there in the closet. So this is kind of a unique space because this is, it's a laundry room, but it's also the master closet for this particular house. Seeing that definitely takes up quite a bit of space. So we'll have to see how I can scale this or how I can get this to fit. I want it to look, scaled appropriately for the space. Say right about there. And then if I crop out, starting with that red dress, so it just be kind of got all this black and navy stuff here. I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead. Sorry. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm going to trace around the edges because I want to get rid of the background and make it so that it fits into this image. And I'm going to do my magnetic lasso tool. Like I said, the red dress is not going to fit everything else. Start over here with this one. I'm just tracing the border. Get a nice little outline here. Right now, I'm just trying to get a nice little average outline. I'll go back and touch up some of the details here. I get this initial grab. Magnetic tool is great when you have kind of these organic shapes. And I'm just going to zip on over here. Close that up. I've got my initial grab. Now I just need to go back and adjust some of the details. So for example, this spot right here, I want to subtract the red because there is no red dress behind. There. And I need to go in here. And so when I'm doing these selections, I'm toggling with using the Alt key.
You need to put batteries in an Xbox.
All right. So I'm using the Alt key to either add or subtract from my selection. If I've got the plus sign, that's an add. If I've got the minus sign, like you see right there, that's a subtraction. I'm going to come over here with the arc of that hanger. It's fairly zoomed in. Obviously, you can see why the pixels. This is, yeah. So anyway, that looks, and obviously with these reflective surfaces, might tricky to get really perfect. Add a little more here, and again, I can, oh, we'll see how this works. This might be a little much. Okay, let's zoom on in. Here, as I'm going down, because these finishes, the hooks are the very same reflective surface as that rod that's there, I'm having to manually sort of click on my borders because the magnetic tool doesn't always catch those uh, subtle shadow differences between different materials, and obviously being so zoomed in and pixelated here, it causes a bit of an issue. Okay, so bit by bit, I'm just working my way down the row here. Starting out all these little indents. So that way when I go to put it on my background, it looks wonderful and has no weird cutouts or no white bits left. That would be detracting from the image. I'm just working my all these individual. And just a few more to go. I have a minute, but details right there. I'm gonna have to. As I've said many times before, I am not by Photoshop expert. This is just the techniques that I either was taught or learned over time. There might be easier ways to do some of this. I just go with what I've figured out and what works. It's a really jagged one. Really pixelated like this. I don't know. Best way to. There we go. Cut out. Cutting out all these white bits. Unfortunately, there's so many colors here that the magic wand tool not work the way that I need it. And especially because I'm trying to get rid of this silver rod. I want to add this little bit of this. Incorporate that, but now I'm going to come out this middle part. You're getting really close. All right, add a little bit of this hook on. Get rid of this little dog right there. Oops. The Alt key, that's the hotkey, and every once in a while I reach over and hit that Control key instead. That just didn't work. That little bit. Whole line is a little. Eat that chunk. Okay, let's look at the bottom edge. That actually all looks really good. Right there. Okay, awesome. So, a little bit tedious, but I think we got everything. So now we go ahead and hit our layer mask tool. Yay! Move this on over here. I am going to kind of do a little bit of a minor adjustment here. So I'm going to go to my distort tool. And all I'm going to do here is just, I'm going to kind of squish it just a little bit because most people don't spread their hangers out quite that far. And if you look really close to that top edge, I'm lifting up and dragging down just so that those hangers all fit perfectly on that rod. Like that. Okay. There we go. Now if I zoom back out, that looks nice and realistic. We've got a really nice, and the nice thing about this is it looks natural, it looks lived in because there are different colors and patterns. It's not like a retail store where you grab an image and have 17 black shirts. So it's definitely more realistic, and yet at the same time, it's neutral enough that it doesn't detract from the interior space that I've created here. It looks good. Okay, so now we've got that on there. So now over here, and I'm gonna see, this may or may not work. I got some white shirts or some men's shirts to hang on the rod above the laundry counter. So again, I'm gonna do the same trick with the magnetic lasso tool. Now this one is definitely more of a retail image. You can see all four of these shirts are basically the same, just in slightly different colors. But yeah. Okay, so I'm really quick do that, and I'm going to go around the circle and do my touch-ups. So again, I'm going to subtract this little blurb down here, add in this little tailie. Delete this little blippy blip. Add this piece. Delete where this cuff sleeve connect, where the sleeve separates from the arm, I guess. Add this bit. Anytime you're working with colors, kind of lighter colors or colors that don't have a lot of contrast with the background, that's when you're going to get those issues with, the magnetic tool kind of not catching on some of those edges. Like right here, there's a very low contrast, but there's still something there. So now I'm going to go back here and really tightly do a series of little click points, because you can you're assisting the magnetic tool. If your eyes are a little bit better than that magnetic border, essentially add to it. Okay, so now I want to subtract over here. Oh, and I don't want to subtract that much. I'm going to have to go back in here and add just a little bit of this. Yeah, just really closely tight together. Clicky, 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 click. Okay. I'm going to come back and get those hanger tops. And we're going to here, and again, it might be a little, yeah, but didn't quite grab it. Back in here, add in a little bit more of that color. And the same over here. Oh, and there's a little doodad here I want to get rid of. And it's just all these little things that, yes, it's kind of a minutiae, it's details that maybe no one would notice, but it doesn't take that much extra time to take care of them properly. And then there's just no chance of someone being distracted from your beautiful image by things that could have or should have been fixed. The point of this is to showcase the house and the design and working with a professional team. So you don't want the image to not reflect that. So now I'm going to go in and add these hangers. All of it. I'm not going to get that little taily on the bottom because I don't have it on the other hangers. I want to minimize the differences between this cluster of clothing and that women's cluster. Okay, there, I've got all my edges, I've got all my hangers, I'm going to do my layer mask. I'm going to shrink these down. Okay, I want to make sure, real quick. Okay, those are definitely at a reasonable scale. So they're not too small compared to the dresses that are over here. If I was a little concerned about that, what I could do is again, actually, I would go back to this image here, this one, and using that distort tool again. I'll just drag these just a little long, not a lot, because I don't want to make them feel distorted, but just enough that you can tell that there's appropriate scaling between the two. I think that fits really nicely on that rod. They look like they're hanging properly. Pretty good job of that. And then I'm going to bring in this. May or may not need it, but having a few extra hangers. So again, back over here. And this one, I'm going to try just for the heck of it, just to see if I can do this faster. So that got all the wooden parts. Now see, now that got the background. And I don't want to get that rod up top. Okay, so I think, like I said, oh, see, now that's done kind of a weird line back there. So I don't know if I like that so much. I think I'm going to be better off doing my magnetic lasso on this one. So again, we'll just come right across the top here. Erase my perimeter. Tracing, tracing. Okay. Now I need to delete these white sections. Hotkey to tract. And I always do a little click in the corner just because I want to make sure that the magnetic tool catches exactly what it is that I'm trying to especially when I've got something kind of sharp like this that should look a certain way. Sometimes I kind of let it do its thing, other times I try to help. Top corner didn't matter as much, bottom corner I want to be. You can see how even with my mouse kind of wiggling around a little bit, the tool did a pretty good job of catching that edge. It didn't really want to veer off too much. Oops. There, veered way too far off, so that part I did actually have to back and fix. A little bit of a, what is it called? Moire, or no, not moire. Almost like a shadow, like a color reflection floating in midair. All right, so again, I'm going to add these, oops. If you double click, it'll close the line that it was creating. You don't want to do that unless you're close. Ah, this is horrible. All right, so I'm going to with this, I'm going to switch over to the polygonal tool because I think that's the only way I'm going to get these edges the way I need them to. And so similar to the magnetic tool, it wants to grab, and it will, but you actually, with the polygonal tool, have a little bit more precise control over where those points are. It doesn't automatically create those points. So obviously when you've got a bit of a curve, you need to manually give it quite a few points to create the shape that you need. But because there's very little contrast between the edge of this silver metal and the white background, I think this is about the only way that I'm going to get that shaped the way that I need it. And I'm just going to continue on down the way. And just like with the last one, I'm not going to catch those little tailies in the back because it's one more detail that I don't need. And if it doesn't match up, it'll be more noticeable than simply not having it. That means, again, close up that poly. Fine line between moving quickly and accidentally double clicking. See, okay, so first I'm going to, oops, and close this. And then I'm going to go back and cut out this little white area here. So I'm going to switch back to my Alt hotkey. And again, I'm cutting out that little taily piece at the bottom because I don't want again. Go ahead. See? Edit. Eventually I'll get this. All right, so again, new today. I apologize for staring at my face while I'm on this. Getting there. Mm. Definitely a task that you should be doing with noodles and noodles caffeine, but not so much. Almost there. See? We're halfway. We'll get there. Wish I had a better trick for that, but unless you're a Photoshop expert, tips in the comments. Was open. Honestly, at some point, probably search YouTube for a tutorial on how to. Generation is YouTube taught. There. Last one. Last one. All right, we got this. Faster. All right. Oh, you probably forgot we were doing during that whole time. How long to do it? Click. All right. Transform to Shrinky Dink. And I want to move these up here. And I'm going to zoom in because I want to make sure that they're the same scale as the other hangers on the rod. Bigger. Those look to be right about the correct size. The other ones are turned a little bit, so I am going to do a quick little distort here. They don't need to be huge. Oh, and I kind of added one end. But there, if you look, that actually matches up well. So again, I'm going to kind of line those up. Zoom on out. Check. So there you go. So that's kind of realistic. In terms of having some clothes in there, having a few spare hangers. Next up, I'm going to bring in a cute little laundry detergent container that I'm going to put on top of the washer. So again, the magnetic. This has pretty good edges. Actually, you know what? Undo that. I'm going to try the magic wand again. Now, the only thing I don't like about it is that it grabbed that laundry word, but I can edit that, I think, real quick before I make the final. Okay. I also don't want that little logo above the word laundry. Okay. Done. Pretty good there. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back over to my polygonal. And I do want the word laundry. So I'm going to make sure that gets in there. So now you see how that got rid of those little selection lines, but I do not want whatever this, well, actually, you know what? I do want to leave that for right now. I do want that included. Later, I'll go back with one of my smudge tools. I'll get that out of there. But now we've got that. Control T to shrink it ink down, or to let me grab it so I can shrink. Okay, so it's a little tall for under that cabinet. Let's shrink it down a little more. Now I'm going to zoom on in. Because now that we've gotten our border, now we've got it kind of positioned where we want, I'm going to use okay, spot healing tool is one that we could try. And I'm not very good at this. But the one I do know is the clone stamp. So first I have to choose my area. Now I can just go in here. Why is that not working? No, it's the, which one is it? I could have sworn it was the clone stamp. Why did it leave that smudge there? Do that. Hmm. I know there's a way I can do this. So I think what I have to do, hold on. The other way I can do this, because there's always other ways. Oh, here we go. An eyedropper, the color. Now we can use the paintbrush. This one definitely works. On. Might. Well, you know what? Hold on. Let's zoom out. Honestly, you can't see that. Yeah. So there we go. But I do want to do one little thing with the transform tool. And this is just a little tiny, see if that helps a little bit. By just shifting it just a tiny bit, it kind of does the perspective thing. So it looks like it's maybe just slightly askew. Is a little bit more natural. Okay, what else did I have picked out here? Okay, found some towels that we can have folded here on the front here. And I think this stack here with the gray is probably the most realistic part of that. So the magnetic and see if that does if that works. All these little nooks and crannies. I'll have to tweak. Okay. Zoom in here. Hold on. I want to subtract this little bit. It will let me. Still need to get a little further. Again, this is where you kind of have to manually force it. Okay, and then on this corner, I want to add some here, kind of that poof. In with 2 meat. Back out again. I'm just trying to make that edge as possible. Okay, now I need to carve that little, carve this bit out. That's looking pretty good. That's a little tiny bit right there. Oops. There we go. That little bit. Sure. There's not any of that little brown kind of peak. Down on there and that little piece. And just kind of smoothing up that shape there. There we go. All right, so layer mask. And again, I want to make sure that the scale kind of matches up. So, you know, I've got, I don't want this to be so huge, even though it's in the foreground, that it seems unrealistic compared to the size of some of these other things. And make these shirts just a little bit bigger because they're, yeah, there we go. There we go. And we need a little bit of artwork. For this one, I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool. Create a really nice crisp edge on this. That might have been the fastest one we did all day. All right. Transform. I think probably like right above there makes sense. And then little here we go. Just a little plant on the countertop. I'll probably put it over here next to the laundry detergent. So again, magnetic. One of the nice things about this laundry room is it actually does have a nice little window to let in some nice smooth edge here. Now I'm going to try the magic wand to see if I can get a little more of this green here. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to my magnetic tool and just get rid of some of these little ads. Nothing big, but over here I want to get rid of that one for sure. Still seeing a few things. Zoom out. Use those dark bits, definitely. All right. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So let's layer mask it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move laundry powder over just a little ways, and then I don't think I like that distort on there. Go back. Yeah, basically put it back to normal. Just a little fine tune there. I think I'm going to duplicate this and have one under the window. What's the point of having a window in a laundry room if you don't have little potted plants? Right. And then about the only thing I need is just a few little baskets for up here, maybe up here, because you want to make use of that shelving and show that you could have some options. Now, I hadn't actually saved any for that yet, so hang on a second. Hop over to my Google image search. And I want to find one that's a fairly straight on view. Let's see here. Ooh, that would look nice. Okay. 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 Now I'm going to pull up what I just found. And I went with something dark because with the dark countertops. There we go. There we go. All right. So we're going to transform. We're going to get this to the size we want. And I want to make sure I get it. Oops. I want to make sure I get it above the bottom of that shelf. So it needs to look like it's sitting on the shelf, not bumped into it. Okay. Now, really quick, I want to see how that size fits up here because I want to use the same. It's pretty close. Let's make it just the teensiest bit small. Okay. Now I'm going to reposition this one over here. I'm using the arrow key to get that kind of fine tune. Okay. Now I'm going to duplicate. And I think I'll try one more time. See if it fits. But it's going to go off screen, but if it, as long as it still looks like it fits on that shelf, I think we'll use it. I'm going to scoot this one over just a smidgen. I think that looks like it fits just fine. And zoom out. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then duplicate again. Bring this over here. Zoom on in. I'm going to lift that up so it fits on that shelf. And duplicate one more time. Oh. How does that look? I think that looks pretty darn amazing. What would you add, if anything? Let's see here. Perhaps. Let's see here. Hmm. Not sure if I like the two plants being matchy-matchy. So let me see if I should have another plant here in my file. Use. Actually, oh yeah, yesterday. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to use my magic wand to get most of this. Base, and then I just need to come in here with my polygonal lasso tool, clean up and grab this last little bit. Get that bright white because it's the same color background. Now that's included. Grab that there. There we go. Right, so do our layer mask. We'll shrink this down. I don't know, maybe we'll do, that's a little small for the width of that. And then we need to make sure that that one goes behind. Back up. There we go. I think I'm actually going to switch the towels just a bit. That looks thick. Make this just a tiny bit smaller. You don't want to block the whole window. And then over here, I'm going to put these up top actually. See what they are. Scooch that. Actually, if we're going to do that, we need to do a trio. So I'm going to this one down just a little bit. Shrink this one down to match. It's about the same. And then I will duplicate. So, other than the fact that there's no laundry in those washer and dryer there, I'd say that actually is a pretty realistic, natural looking laundry closet space. I think we did pretty good here. Wonder real quick that looked like if we put it. Ooh, I like that. Change the size just a little bit. Okay. I like it. Okay. There's a few little, very small details. I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to adjust hue and saturation. Those are extremely crisp white. I'm just going to drop my lightness by just a smidgen. There's really no saturation to speak of, so that. I'm going to do the same thing with these shirts here. There we go. So there we go. So see how that makes it so they don't jump out at you from the image. They just are part of the image. And then the only other thing that I don't really care for is this sign. I don't like that it's not framed. So I'm going to fake it here real quick. I've got... Okay, so now this is like a wood look tile, whatever, but move it up a little ways. Need to find, oops. There we go, that's the sign. Now I just need to basically zoom on in here. I'm essentially just basically making a fake frame. Just a little. That. Do you, however, want to do this? Okay, so I'm getting, oh, universal. And then there you go. Oh my goodness, there we go. That was the finishing touch it needed. Depending on what color the wall was painted, in the finished space, having an unframed piece of that white wood might work. But because of the wall color that's there, it definitely needs that frame to offset it. And especially since we have details like the dark countertops and these dark felt baskets, I think it definitely needed that in order to feel like it fit. And then the only other question is, should those three be really close together or should they be more spaced out? So let's see what... No, I don't like that. Okay. So there we go. Yay! Perfect. I am loving this image. So, okay, let me go ahead and save this. And then I always save a JPEG as well because, especially for social media, that's usually what the format that I shared in. If I was doing print, then it would be a PNG. It's a little higher print quality. JPEG, save. Sweet. Okay. Now, as long as I'm here, I am going to do one other. Hold on. Okay. We're going to go ahead and close out of there. Yay. I'm going to create a new document, default Photoshop for now. And then the other image that I wanted to work on today is, it is a kitchen view. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to enlarge this a little bit so that my borders aren't visible here. Okay, so there I've cropped out the weird border and I filled the image. I actually really like this kitchen, and in my mind's eye, I can totally see this space really fleshed out. So this is a different house. All right. And the biggest thing is obviously this big gigantic island. And then at the ends of the kitchen to provide a lot of storage, because this house doesn't have a walk-in pantry. Right across the hallway, right over here on this opposite wall, there is a very shallow pantry, basically only about, I think if I remember correctly, it's only about 15 or 16 inches deep. And then it has a pair of barn doors that slide shut over it. So it's great for things like canned goods and boxes of crackers, but really not like massive stuff. Like if you go to Costco and buy a bulk of anything, it really is not going to fit in there. So I made sure that this kitchen had two large, full depth, 24-inch deep cabinets on either end of it to provide a lot of that same storage that a walk-in pantry would offer. So now what I need to do to make this a little more finished out, obviously the first thing I'm going to need are some bar stools. And this is definitely more of a farmhouse inspired house. Obviously, I mentioned that there were the barn doors that we're going to be putting on the adjacent pantry. So I'm going to go with this one. Let's drag this. And the perspective works with this image so far. So that's when you're having to drag and drop images that you find into a space you've created, um, finding ones that are in a similar perspective view makes a big difference. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, that looked pretty efficient. Okay, layer mask, Control T to shrinky dink. A little smaller. Put it in. Okay, so now we're going to copy and paste just right down the row here. Now, as we go down the row, because of perspective, each one needs to be just a tiny bit smaller than the one in front of it. That one down. Again, Control T, just a little. Fine tuning their position so they look like they're nice and okay. That. And okay, so it looks like I've got a pretty good line here on the back leg. Actually, this one's a teeny bit big. There we go. So that we've got some bar stools in there, which are off. I'm going to find a nice tall soup pot or stock pot. Here we go. And we kind of used that turquoise aqua color in the laundry room as the accent color. Granted, this is a different house, but kind of with that farmhouse theme. So I went and found this Le Creuset Rock pot. Let's see if the magic wand works really well on this one. Oh no, that was too much. There we go. Now I'm going to use magnetic. I'm just going to circle these few little areas that didn't quite get caught the first time. Because it's basically the same. There's little accents of the white back there, and I don't want to get the background. No. And then I also don't want that shadow at the bottom. I'm going to come in here and just change that bottom line. Okay, perfect. Your masks. Control T gets me Shrinky Dink. Bring this on down here to the stove, so I need to zoom in here. And I'm gonna make it just a teensy bit taller. I actually have this soup pot. In red though. The tall thing. Okay. And as much as it probably makes sense for it to be on that front burner, I'm gonna move it to the back burner here because otherwise it looked like it was kind of falling off and would land on someone. Okay. Got that. What else do people? What do you think? We find like a rug for this front entryway, maybe. Here. All right, so I'm trying to find a nice runner that'll fit with the colors we've got, but also use. So let's try this one. I'm gonna have to do some distorting on this one or some perspective on view here. First, we need to get rid of the edges. White part. Okay. Then move it on over here. I'm gonna hit Control T, this thing down a little bit. And then I need to use the perspective tool. And I haven't used that yet on one of these streams because I've, for the most part, searched for images that fit. Okay, so as you can see, this is moving as if it's walking down a hallway. Start lining this up. Ooh, I like that. And this requires kind of some finesse to play around with it to get it exactly the way you want. Okay, so there I think is a good perspective. Just a little harder. Hold on. And then what I want to do, okay, so it should be a little more center there. And then, okay, so I've done the perspective. Now I want to shrink it just a little. And there. Okay, so we've got a nice long runner coming in from the front. Now the color again is competing just a little bit with the cabinets. So I'm going to go up here to adjustments. Oops. All right. Hue and saturation. I like the saturation, but I'm just going to drop the lightness down a little bit. There we go. So now that doesn't compete with the cabinets. It's not bright, bright, bright in your face, but it's there and it's comfortable. All right. Okay, so here's our image again. Now, I don't want to clutter the kitchen, but I do want to give it some personality. So I think I want to do some tile backsplash back here. Yeah. Ooh, I like this one. Okay. I'm going to have to do some tiling here to get this to fit in the space. But isn't that pretty? First, I'm going to shrink ink on down. Getting down even more, so I'm going to zoom in. And here's where I'm going to start to distort my image a little bit. I want to get my lines. Actually, I don't want to distort. Oh. Yeah. Still learning some of the hotkeys in Photoshop, and although the escape key seems like it would be a logical choice for a lot of things, it's really not. Okay, so zoom on in here. I think the first thing I want to do real quick is again, see how bright that is? A couple different things I can do. First, I can drop the opacity. That actually might work. So I'm going to put my opacity at 75%. That's a nice, easy number to remember. And then I can make it uniform as I go down the way. Now I want to line this up so it's pretty much right there with that. A little more. Because now that it's transparent, I can see kind of what's going on behind it. A little bit. Now I want to the skew button, I think I want. I'm just going to drag that edge up just a smidgen. Drag this bottom edge up just a smidgen. And I'm doing my best to keep my verticals as close as possible because I'm going to have to start tiling this and making it match up. Okay. That I think is good. And now I'm just going to keep copying. So duplicate. I'm going to try and down just a little bit. Maybe that'll get me to where I need it without too many changes. And then I'm just going to arrow key over. Okay, that worked really well. Duplicate again. Form, shrink down to just the size I need. Okay, now I know there's this little bit up here underneath the microwave, and I'll come back to that here in just a minute. I want to kind of get this row done first. And eventually, and then I'll move the soup pot all the way to the ready. Okay. Shrinky dink. Okay. I'm noticing just the smidgen of it not quite lining up with that row. So I'm going to go to my transform and my skew. I'm just going to pull this down just a drop. There we go. Oh, that might have been too much. There we go. Okay. Again, I could have made this easy on myself by finding a larger image from further back that I could then crop to the size I needed, but no. Where's the fun in that? Just okay. And last but not least, get into that corner. Now this one, we're actually gonna, once I get it to the angle that I want, then I'm gonna actually end up cropping it off, so. We're at the point where my minute difference is. Okay. Now really quick on that one, I'm gonna drop my opacity a little bit. I'm gonna zoom in with my polygonal tool. Right here in the corner. I'm gonna keep this. Rid of that. See how that worked? Bring this back up to 5%. Okay. That one is still just a smidgen. A little big. Okay. Let's zoom out, see if I and see how as I progressed that top line went just a little bit off. Distance, that's not too bad actually. Okay. So now I want to get duplicate. Bring that in under my microwave. And I want to skew distort this one just a smidgen because it looks like my lines are just off. And then I need to trim around. So I'm going to drop my opacity again. All I need is this rectangle like that. Oh, I did not do that right. Okay. I need the polygonal tool because I need to trim it even with this one. There we go. Okay, so now really quick, I can bring that to pot. There we go. Now, here, I do not like that piece. I'm going to delete that piece and start over. Like I said, that bottle line is kind of bothering me. And this piece over here. There we go. I think you need to see just a hint of a shadow along there. That little spot's also kind of bothering me, but I don't. Actually, I know what I can do there. Okay, so let's delete this piece. Copy. Bring that on up here. Oh, because that's why. Okay, so it's undo, undo, undo. I'm going to add one more piece, this one here. Bring that up so it matches. Okay, and then I need to distort, or skew actually. Lines are not quite. Okay, and then drop my opacity. I'm not really getting much here. I'm tracing a very small amount. Down like that. Okay. Layer mask. See back to 75%. All right. That looks better to me. It's a minute difference, but man, it was bugging me. And even here, there we go. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Okay. Now zoom in over here. Okay, so I need to duplicate this. Just going as far as the corner there, but I want to skew this over. Gotta get that vertical line. And then opacity, polygon. Layer mask. Okay. That is a smidgen off. Hang. Okay. Now I need to copy this. But you see how that's skewed that way. Now I need to change it so it's skewed the other way because those two corners are meeting. My vertical. And I'm trying to follow this line. It's a little bit of a weird. I think did a corner cabinet there. Maybe that's why that's funny. But anyway, all right. A little bigger. Short that just a little bit so it matches that line on the fridge. And then there we go. And then that one's good. And then I just, yeah, I want to leave that little bit of a shadow there because I don't want that to get lost. And then I just need to duplicate, move this on over. And then I'm going to grab my opacity and just grab what I need, which is from here. Layer mask. 85%. Okay. Yay! I have a backsplash now. Awesome. Okay. So, again, I don't want to clutter this up. I don't want to put a ton of stuff here, but there's always a few more things. Let's see here. Fruit basket, maybe. Ooh, that one's pretty. Okay. And especially on a dark countertop. This one here. Voila. Okay. So I'm thinking try magnetic lasso for this one. Some of these edges are very well defined, which is good, but then few oopsie, few little spots where it's going to want to go askew because of white background and the white marble. All right, we'll come back and fix that. That and that. Okay. Yeah, we're pretty close though. Okay. So going in a circle. Catch all these little bits. I'm going to subtract that little piece. Add the rest of this apple. Add the rest of this dish. Back this little doodad and add that. I think that is everything. Okay. Layer mask. Little T to shrinky dink. I don't know. What do we think? Do you want to have it down on this end? I don't like doing it over here because over here I feel like it competes with that soup pot. Scale wise, maybe right about there. All right. So we've got a couple little decorative items. wonder if we want to do, I'm not a huge fan of the shiplap, but I kind of feel like this wall here should be like a dusky turquoise or something. So I'm going to go down all the way to this bottom layer, zoom on in here. Need to move just do that corner. Okay, good. So now I'm going to use my polygonal tool because these are all square edges. I'm going to see if this works. If it doesn't, then I'll just, but it does work. Okay, so now I've got that selected. I'm going to go up here to layer, new adjustment layer, hue and saturation. So zoom out here to open. And I'm going to do, I'm going to call that island just so I know what it is. Okay, zoom out. Now over here, I click the colorize button. And you see how that already changed it to kind of that pink. I'm going to move this over here into the aqua turquoise family. But what I want to do is I want to drop it way on down. Ooh, how rich that looks. Be up to saturation. Look at how cool that is, because not only does that give a little bit of oomph to the kitchen, defines the island, it also makes it so these bar stools stand out, it ties in with the rug, and it ties in with that. Awesome. All right. So now I think what I want to do is go up here to where is that? The pot. And I'm going to zoom in just a little way so I can see image. And I'm going to go into hue and saturation here for that soup pot. So I'm going to drop it down just a little bit, make it darker, amp up that saturation just a little bit. And then, actually, you know what? And all I did is just pinch it just a smidgen more towards the blue. So that way those two colors look very similar. I don't want to make it exactly the same, so I'm going to bring that up just a tiny bit. Look at that. That is what that kitchen needed. It needed that splash of color, that bit of something to really dress it up. Because you got this beautiful, simple white limestone backsplash. We got the beautiful wood floors throughout. I kind of want to darken up the floors though, if I could. So again, I'm going to maybe do a layer mask or a hue adjustment for the flooring. So again, I'm going to do polygonal. I'm just going to trace. Now, there's a few ways I could do this. I could find a wood image that I liked and bring that in. But I think because it already has the wood grain here, I'm just going to do a saturation. And the nice thing about that layer mask, the hue adjustment and stuff, when I'm selecting an area, instead of just painting it, it is creating a mask, an adjustment layer. So it's almost more like a colored filter in a sense. So it doesn't get rid of the details like the shadow. So that's the one thing with that backsplash there. If I was better at Photoshop, see how there's the shadow coming off the fridge? There should still be a shadow in that corner, which there was on the original image, but when I added this tile over the top of it, it hid it. I might have to go back and do a layer mask just to put that shadow back into place. Okay, So now I've got my stuff selected. I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Saturation. Now I can do colorize. See right there, that brings it from a yellow to more of a brown. I really like that. Up the saturation just a little bit. Bring the darkness down just a bit. A little more towards the red. More towards the, okay. Let's make this, ooh, I like that. Let me see what the saturation looks like. So that's kind of more of that gray that a lot of people are a little bit more towards, ooh, yeah, see right there. Like that. Okay, we've got a little bit more of a darker floor, not that orangey color that we had before. We've added in a beautiful, beautiful dusky teal color on the base of the island, which is tied into that soup pot in the back. We're going to leave the appliances alone. I think I am going to try and do a little layer mask over here with that shadow. First, I'm going to move the little apple stand out of the way. And you'll see this is the spot right here. All I'm going to do is, I don't know what layer I'm on, but there we go. Image, hue and saturation. Now I'm not messing with the color at all. All I'm doing is trying to make a shadow over there. Now the reason that is not working, hold on one second. That, ooh, wait, because I did my layer mask on a layer way, way, way down in the row. I need to do it way up here, but it won't show up. Layer sequence matters. Learning. Okay. Oh, maybe I didn't. Okay. Still might not have this on the right. This layer is, hold on. That layer. Got it. Doesn't work. Why did I do it from that end? Here, otherwise I can go. And now, hopefully third time's the charm. Yay. See, I don't go that dark. See about right there. Now as we back out, see that shadow? Voila, I brought the shadow back. Which actually makes me think I should probably do the same thing underneath the microwave. Let's see how there's this shadow line coming down like that. I'm going to select that piece. Across here. And again, image adjustment, hue and saturation. I gotta remember this number because there's this little teeny piece right there. I need to make sure I catch that as well. Because remember, there were two pieces of tile right there. I'm at negative 32 on the lightness. So now I need to that layer. And again, these is absolutely minutiae, but Oh, it's worth it. Saturation. It is. Yeah, look at how much better that looks. And you can see that line come down under the cabinet. See, it's all these little tiny details that make a difference. Like one thing you wouldn't know unless you had seen this plan, there's actually a transom window in the entryway up above here. So there's a flat ceiling in the kitchen and the dining room. The living room is a big vaulted space kind of off behind me here. And then over here in the entryway, that's also a tall elevated ceiling because of that big giant exterior transom window that we want to let that light in and make that entryway feel big. And the nice thing with or kind of the reason for playing with all those different ceiling heights is it helps that within an open space, because you literally walk in the front door, go down a hallway, and you're in the great room, dining room, kitchen. By doing the different ceiling heights, it helps you to transition between those spaces and understand I'm in a different space. I just moved from one room to the other. There we go. All right. So now, as with any room, we need some plants. Um, so I think, and I've got that really cool, what's it? Yeah, here we go. Bring this one in. And if I remember correctly, the magic wand worked pretty well on this with a few minor details. Okay, and really the only detail was down here in the pot. Oops. Ah, switch over to polygonal. I want a straight line. Pot's white, so you gotta go for it. Okay. And then grab these, grab this. Okay. There we go. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's do layer mask, shrinking down. So now the question is, do we want this over here or over here, kind of facing the dining room? You're not really going to see it as much here, so I think it probably makes more sense over here, but we do need to shrink this still some. On the one hand, this is kind of a floor plan, but don't want it to be like crazy tall. So I'm going to distort this just a little bit. Maybe bring that side and just, oh yeah, like that. And then I'm going, there we go. All right. I think that works pretty well there. I think it needs that touch of greenery. I am going to do a little adjustment. Little too, that white is a little bit too bright. There we go. We got a nice little potted plant as we come in. Okay. And then for balance, we need something up above. Now, I'm not a huge proponent of putting a ton of decoration up above, but an image like this looks empty without it. Even if people personally don't like to put it up there themselves, when they see an image, they like to see some of that. So, second. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or the computer, but something's running a little slow here. Hang on. I'm heading over here to Google. Few images of something I can put up on top. I'm gonna do a sign that says kitchen. Oh, that's what I need. Hold on. There's no chandelier over that island. Well, duh. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think I'm going to pick this one. There we go. Partly because not white background, so it's easier to copy out. Okay. Yay. Alrighty, so let's try magic wanding this and see what happens. Oh no, too far. See? Eventually, when you start to get reflections, you get the background. Okay, so that was good. Now I need to switch over to the magnetic lasso tool because now I can grab these bits. See? And same thing here. Just kind of manually grabbing these little bits that the magic wand tool thought were too close to the background. Perfect. Okay. Layer mask. And then transform to get more to the scale I want. Lift this up above the island. Down a little bit. And then I'm going to start to use that perspective. I need it to skew a little bit. That's in my verticals. Line is a little bit off there. No. You know what? I'm going to revert back to that. Okay. There we go. Okay. Move this back up top. Shrink it down. Oh, there we go. I'm going to try, instead of the perspective, I'm going to try the distort first. Okay, so that's good. And then now I need to skew. Need to, yeah. That end up. See? Okay. So there we go. Yay. That definitely adds some light there. Knock that down just a bit. So then I don't need to worry as much about having something up top, but I do feel all right on this end, I need something. Whether it's a plant just peeking in on the floor or a plant that sits up on top, I think it's probably going to be my best bet. So, all right, so let's try this and see. Now, I think I just want this larger part, so I'm going to magnetic lasso around the perimeter. But it caught that. I'm catching this a lot better than I thought. Okay, now I don't want those twigs sticking out. Okay, so just a few little touch-ups. Gotta add that and subtract that. All right, I think that's pretty good. We'll layer mask that. Rinky dink. All right, that look like that looks pretty good. Store it just a bit. There we go. And then hue and saturation, I just want to drop the lightness just a little bit, but they don't like jump off the countertop. Okay. Some people might think that's getting a little on the cluttery side, but I could move those up top here. The one other thing I wanted to find was plan for up top. All right, so I'm just trying to find a little bit of a planter with kind of a slightly hanging vine that I can put up on top of that cabinet next to the fridge. It just needs something soft up there to kind of finish this out. I like this one. Right. And even better, it's already had the background removed. Sweet. Let's see that. Okay, so I'm going to zoom up here. And then I'm going to crop that one little bit off the bottom of there so that it looks like the vine is still coming over the edge of the cabinet, but that you can't see that. I'm going to switch to polygonal because, like I said, most everything here has already been go around all of that and then do a straight line right there. There we go. See? And then, again, because it's kind of shiny, I want to do a quick adjustment. My hue and saturation, I'm going to drop the saturation just a bit. It's not quite so neon green. Dropping lightness. And I'm actually going to, you know what, instead of, I don't like doing that lightness. I'm going to, because I've got a white cabinet and a white wall, I'm going to drop the opacity just a bit, and I think that's going to actually be better at giving me the effect I want. Okay. So that looks much more realistic. And then what I want to do, I think I don't like those croc pieces right there, but I think I do actually like them up here. Those over so you can just kind of sort of see them. And then I want to make those taller, so I'm going to make them a little bigger. And then I'm going to store to make that a little taller. I'm kind of very gently tweaking the lines so it lines up. You see how the fridge is just a little bit not vertical right there? I'm kind of tweaking that match. And then I'm going to skew because this corner here is looking. Don't want it to look like it's overlapping that crown molding there. So there we go. Minimal on the countertops. I've got my little apple basket or my tiered apple tray. Just a small little bit of decor up on top here, basically just a plant. That over. There, I think that's natural. We've got some nice little bar stools. We've got a rug. I think this has turned into an absolutely gorgeous kitchen. All right, so file, save, because I didn't save when I started. I have a really bad habit of doing that. I'll spend an hour working on something. I won't save it till the end. And then save a JPEG. All right. Saved myself a JPEG, got this beautiful marketing image done. I believe that that is going to be it. So I've got my images that I need for my marketing partner to market his construction business while I market my design business and our partnership there. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, I would absolutely love to hear them, whether you're watching this on the replay, if you happen to catch it live, please let me know what you think. If there's anything you'd like to hear more or anything more you'd like to learn about, write those in the comments and be sure to like and comment and share and subscribe and all that good stuff to help me grow my channel. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.